The worst was absolutely just seeing my mom battered. And that's what I lived with is one day I'm going to come home from school and, one of them are going to be dead or both.
Growing up with a mom and stepdad who were violently alcoholic was terrifying for Sheila Alberstadt.
I would wake up and find the house just completely trashed, and I would always pick up the glass or, furniture upside down. Everything just seemed to be broken, and sometimes there'd be blood on the floor and the walls, and a lot of beer bottles and ashes.
The regular chaos also left Sheila, the middle of three sisters, feeling helpless and insecure.
Absolutely, love and security would be what I needed and wanted and desired.
After Sheila's stepdad died when she was 14, her mom started taking her anger out on her.
When my mom would fight with me, it was mainly just pulling hair, hitting in the face, and biting, and a lot of verbal and emotional, mainly slapping and backhands.
Even then, she felt sorry for her mom and protected her by lying to school authorities when asked about her bruises.
I knew she loved me, but I always knew that it was the alcohol. And I just wanted so badly for her to be, free of that.
But it was the pain no one could see that hurt Sheila the most.
I wanted to fit in. I never fit in when I was a child. I didn't have a normal life. I don't think I ever felt confident, about being smart, being pretty, or being insecure about my body image.
In high school, she found comfort in food, but that opened the door to bulimia.
And I realized, I have a hole in my soul and nothing is going to fill that. And so when I was bulimic, for a moment, the comfort of eating a lot of food filled that hole.
Sheila would struggle with bulimia throughout college and beyond, where she also drank and smoked pot heavily. A few years later, that all stopped when she married and became pregnant with her first of 2 children.
I realized at that moment, literally, the hole was filled. And I assumed it was, I needed love. And I had a baby, and I always wanted my own baby. My dream of a family was fulfilled. And I was a good mom, and we had a great marriage, and everything was just beautiful and perfect in my eyes.
That was easy to believe for a while, until she learned that her husband was having multiple affairs. She was devastated and filed for divorce. Before it was final, she had a short-lived affair of her own.
I was seeking love. I was seeking security. I was looking for somebody that would just allow me to be me.
2 years later, Sheila started seeing another man and got pregnant. Out of obligation, she married him, and they went on to have a second child. Although her husband was a good man, Sheila still hadn't found the happiness and love she thought having a family would bring. It was during those years she met a neighbor who often invited her to church. She went once, but quickly decided it wasn't for her.
I looked at people who said they were Christians as being just weak, like they have to believe in something that they can't see in order to make themselves feel better. I almost felt sorry for them because I would think, wow, they're really messed up to think that there really is, a God that's going to help them.
Sheila was about to learn that she also needed God. In 2011, her younger sister, who battled drug addiction, came to live with them. Trying to fix her sister, Sheila asked her Christian neighbor, who was also a nurse, for advice. The woman invited them to a revival at her church that night.
And for her to suggest me bringing her to a service like that and me say, okay, that had to be God. So this time I prayed, please God, take away her addictions. And I kept looking at the lights that were hanging in the convention center. And I prayed and I prayed. And the next thing I know, she is in a fetal position on the floor. and she's hysterically crying. And the next thing I know, I'm looking up and just weeping uncontrollably, saying over and over again, I am so sorry I never knew you. And I'm thinking that my little sister is the one who needs help. And I saw myself as such a wicked person who was just cleansed, if you will, and all that yuck plucked out of me and the love just poured back into me.
Sheila says that night was the beginning of her and her sister's relationship with Christ. It was also the end of her search for love and security.
I experienced this love. Like, I felt like somebody had come inside of my body and plucked out every root of pain, of insecurity, of bitterness, of everything, and just took and filled me with this love that I had never experienced.
Sheila felt convicted that night to recommit herself to her marriage. As she studied the Word in the years since, she continues to grow in the love and lasting security found only in Christ. Now she loves nothing more than to share what she's found with others.
I went into that building and he literally cleansed me. And that's when I discovered, oh, that was Jesus I was crying to. That I am so sorry I never knew you, because you can't get to the Father unless you go through Christ.